Good morning. Welcome to Tutorial Tuesday. Sorry, I just blow dried my hair for like the first time in a very long time. I blow dried it previously, but never like completely. And also, my husband was sleeping, so I did it in a closed bathroom. So it got very hot in there, and I'm just like, because it's in the 60s outside tomorrow or today. It's nice. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. It's gonna be rough. I blow dried my hair because I had to shower this morning, and I also have to go to work. Those two things don't often coincide. This is fake coffee this morning. I learned my lesson. Oh, but it's hot. Okay, well, we're gonna move on. Hi, I'm really close today. So, fun fact for those of you who don't YouTube, I need to find a place to put this down so my arms don't die. For those of you who don't YouTube, in order to go live like this on a mobile device, you need to have at least 1,000 subscribers. So I'm about 980 away. So if you have some friends, get them to subscribe so that I can do this on my phone instead of on my tablet, which is not a tablet. It is a laptop computer because the touchscreen doesn't work. So it's just very heavy. But it runs Windows 10, so Google recognizes it as a laptop instead of as a mobile device, which is accurate. It's not very mobile. Oh my goodness. This is embarrassing. Okay. Good morning. Welcome to Tutorial Tuesday. So this morning, last week, I was impromptu making coffee, and I told you that I compost my coffee. And someone, a friend of mine from college, suggested that I teach you how to compost. Now, this is a big ask. Let me tell you a couple reasons why. One, I don't compost well. I compost in like the laziest possible way. But I figure if you don't compost already, one of the reasons might be because you think it's labor intensive. And I would say it is not. And I can prove it by showing you my very lame, lazy person's compost. Another reason that I shouldn't tell you how to compost is I just do it wrong. I have not used my compost. You're supposed to, one of the benefits of making compost is you're able to use it on your garden. Now, the last time I had a garden, the squirrels ate all my produce, and it made me angry. And I'm getting back at those squirrels by not having a garden anymore. So I don't have anywhere to put the compost. But I guess that in that way I can prove to you that you don't need a garden to compost. 3, because I don't use my compost on my garden, I don't make the most effective choices when it comes to composting for garden purposes. So when I first moved here, my brother came and helped me move, and he was looking at my compost, and he's like a grade A, like he's up here in the gardening, composting, self-sustaining lifestyle. I'm like, no, you can't stop. I'm down there. Hey. And so he came and he was like, hey, you can't compost orange peels. What you doing? And I was like, but they're plants. That's literally what my voice sounded like. But they're plants. And he was like, yeah, but they're too acidic. They'll take forever. They'll take years, like decades, like possibly centuries to break down. Maybe centuries is a bit much, I don't know, but definitely years. Whereas other compost can break down in weeks. And I was like, well, that's lame. I don't want to throw away my orange peels. That's dumb. I don't want to throw away my limes and my lemons and my thick corrugated cardboard. Those are all things that I can compost. So the other reason I shouldn't tell you how to compost is because I do 2 composts. One is a theoretical compost that I could someday use on a garden, maybe, if I get around to it. And if I've been doing it right all these years, I have not. And the other is just basically a glorified ancient trash holding. I will show you both of them today. So, first question that everyone has when they wonder about composting is how? What do I compost? There is a quick guide I can give you. Brown and green. Evidently, that's like not, I didn't make that up. that's very common. But brown things and green things. And green, I do mean in the sort of like ecological sense, not like it looks green. Because there are a lot of green things you can't compost. Nice. So green is probably the easiest thing to understand. Oh, I have no green in here right now. That's a bad sign. We made dinner last night. I thought that we had used more vegetables, but it's all covered up by other things. But green would be like plant matter, vegetables, banana peels. So when we cut up onions, we put the onion peel, like, the flaky papery shell that has a name that I normally skin. I don't know what I call it. But put that in the compost. It's a great smell, let me tell you. Same with garlic, like the flaky skin. When we cut up peppers, usually the core will go in here unless we're using it for something. Basically, this compost, I would do this compost. I would do compost if, like I waste a lot of vegetables and fruit. Because I buy too much and then I don't use it quickly enough, and then it's gross, and then I can't use it because it's just water and cells. So when I get stuff like that, I put it in the compost, and it is a waste. I did waste that food, but that food is going back in the earth, so it's like less of a waste. I feel better about it. Also, whatever. There wasn't an also. The brown stuff is a little bit more hard to understand. And that's the part that I really shouldn't teach you about, because there's a science to knowing what the brown stuff is, and I don't know what that science is. So I just look for stuff that says, well, for one thing, this says brown on it. So these are my coffee filters. Oh, well, maybe I shouldn't be composting these, I don't know. But the thing that you look for is non-bleached, unbleached, or dang, I don't know. I mean, unbleached is the thing that you're looking for. I'm really concerned that now I shouldn't be composting these. But rest assured, I do compost them, and they do degrade. It just, the difference is you can almost always put paper in compost. You shouldn't put paper in it unless it's been unbleached, or unless it's not been bleached. Because if it's been bleached, then you can't really use that compost on garden stuff. It'll be whack. If it's unbleached, there's a good chance that it'll be fine. So another thing that I use for brown stuff is paper that I get from Amazon. Again, I don't know if I should be composting this, but it's brown and it's unbleached, and it feels like I know you can compost like paper bags from the store, so this feels like that, so I go with it. Some other brown stuff. I mean, coffee, I think, counts as brown stuff. Coffee grounds. The other stuff I think it counts as brown stuff is eggshells, because they have a lot of nutrients in them. In fact, if you feed eggs to your dog, and you get organic eggs, you can feed the eggshells to your dog, and that's good for them too. You shouldn't do it without organic eggs, because sometimes they've done like an acid wash of some kind on the eggshell. to make it something. I don't know why. Maybe clean it. I don't know. But they do some sort of acid wash. Removes a lot of the nutrients, but it also makes it bad for dogs. So don't only do it with organic eggs. That's why non-organic eggs and which is most of my eggs, unless it's quarantine and there are only the expensive eggs left, then you can put the eggshells in the compost. What else do you compost? Things you can't compost, as far as I know, and so I have never composted them because I was warned not to. Oils and fats, specifically, possibly, I don't know. You're gonna want to look into whether you can compost like vegetable oils and stuff. I don't, and by that I mean if something is cut, like if like a piece of paper or if something has been cooked in vegetable oil or whatever, I don't put it in the compost. But you especially cannot do it with animal fat, such as butter, lard, bacon, grease, that sort of thing, because you can't really do anything with animal waste in general, in part because you don't know what's in it. Animal waste and animal sort of like excretions are significantly, like they are just higher likelihood of just crazy wild bacteria, and that's in and of itself fine. You can probably ingest it as it is. Obviously, if you're eating butter, you're eating, or if you're eating any animals, you're eating a lot of bacteria and stuff, but you're cooking it first, etc. But if you put it just straight into the compost, it will thrive and grow and do some nasty stuff. So just don't do that. So things you can't compost. You can compost a lot of cardboard. Paperboard is like this stuff is the best stuff because it will take the shortest amount of time. You can compost corrugated cardboard, but you probably shouldn't. You want to balance out the green and the brown as much as you can in terms of weight. So like a whole pizza box is too much. The top of a pizza box, especially if you rip it up into little pieces, is more doable. The top of a pizza box is less likely to have the oils and grossness on it from the cheese and the pepperonis and whatever. Note, I'm a vegetarian, so I don't eat pepper, but I do eat cheese a lot. So don't put the cheese oils into the compost. Another thing that I was told I could not compost is bread products of any kind. Now, I think the reason I was told that was because you get a lot of critters that go after the bread. It makes it sort of rife for things like raccoons and squirrels and stuff. And if you've ever had those things get into your garbage, you definitely don't want them to get into your compost. Let me tell you, gross. You don't want to clean that up. So that's the what of composting. Just down and dirty, just real quick. Google it for more information, but I'm telling you that I follow all of those rules and the things break down into compost. So as I said, you don't compost really acidic things. You probably shouldn't compost tomato stuff, but I do. Because I'm not gonna not compost it. Sorry. I'm gonna throw it away. It feels weird to throw plant matter away in the garbage now. But you shouldn't compost things like orange peels, lemon peels, too much cardboard at a time, etc. Because it'll just take a very long time to break down. You can have a 2-compost system like me if you really want to, but otherwise just throw that stuff away. Ugh, I can't imagine throwing that stuff away, but whatever. It's just anathema to me. I don't know, and I've just gotten into the habit so much of composting these things that I will literally, when I'm at work, and if I eat a banana, which like never happens, but if I eat a banana or ate like an apple or something, and I have like the core or the peel left over, I will wrap that up in a napkin and I will bring it home. Or I will do what I have been told is called, well, what I sort of like got from a friend, the name guerrilla composting, which is where you just throw it on the ground I do this especially with banana peels. I used to eat bananas a lot, like on my way to work. And so then when I got to work, I would just like find a bush and I would tuck the banana peel under the bush. And it would honestly be gone by the next day. And granted, it was probably taken by some animals, but whatever. It's perfectly good. Somebody can use it. And if it goes in the garbage, it just sits in the garbage. It's gross. It's not going to do anything in the garbage. It's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to be of any use to anybody in the garbage. So on to the how. How do you compost? I use this guy. This is made of bamboo, so it's also compostable. Classy. I don't know. I think these are just called tabletop composters. I don't know what they're called. But the thing that makes them special and that you shouldn't just use a garbage can, which is what I did for the first 2 years of composting, and I don't recommend it. The thing that makes them special is inside. Ooh, that's dirty. But inside they have a charcoal, I think. They have a special. Leave that top off, and that is stinky. But the filter inside is spectacular at keeping out the smell, or keeping in the smell, I guess. And that allows you to leave the compost in here long enough for it to get full. A. B, prevents things from like fruit flies and stuff from getting into it or wanting it, so you don't like get your house full of fruit flies, which is a problem that I have had in the past, let me tell you, but not since I got this thing. You do still regularly have to clean this thing out. And by clean it out, I do just mean like pour it out into the compost, the bigger compost, and probably rinse it out because it'll get a lot of gunk sort of like clinging to the sides, and you just don't want that. You want to start fresh every time. So yeah, I use this thing to compost most stuff. I have a much smaller, less specialized container for things like orange peels to go into my second compost. Now we have this slight problem in our video today, in that it just started raining, so I can't really bring you outside. Let me think about it. Okay, so let me tell you about one of the reasons I didn't want to compost. It's a big reason. It's an important reason. It's a dog. So back when I started composting, it was probably 2015 or so. I had a dog who could not see. Well, she could probably see it at that time. I don't know. She was pretty blind. She could not see, she could not hear, but she could smell, and she could get into stuff. She would regularly push the garbage can over and just like eat it all. It was a massacre. And so I knew that if I just composted outside, I just put the stuff outside, she'd be all over that. And that isn't necessarily a problem. I know a lot of dogs who just like half of their intake is compost, and that's whatever. But you have to worry a lot more about what you're putting in your compost and how long it's been there. And also, if you're going to use your compost on your garden, you're not going to be able to if your dog eats it. A dog can pretty much digest most of the things that go into a compost. So it's not a huge problem for your dog. It's a huge problem for their breath. It's a huge problem for like they're walking around in it and they get it all over themselves, and it's so gross. Not recommended. So there is a common way of composting, at least that's common in my family, of just like tossing stuff out into a unused part of the yard. And I knew I couldn't do that because my dog would get to it. And I just didn't want that for her or for me. It also makes her poops weird. I didn't want to deal with that. So I knew I couldn't do that simplest way of composting. The next option that is a good option, a solid option if you've got the space and the time and the ability and the drive, is to build sort of what looks like a raised bed, those like wooden things that go in like gardens, and you put it around on all sides and you make it a little bit taller. If you're worried about things like raccoons and stuff, you can cover it with chicken wire, and that's really great. And you can if you section it off into like 2 or 4 sections, that's even better. because what you can do is you can put the compost into one of the sections until it gets pretty full, and then you can stir it around. You just have to stir it constantly. Well, not constantly. You're not like standing out there like, oh, I can't stir, but you have to stir it regularly, like probably once a week or so, to make sure that all the stuff that was on the top gets onto the bottom, and all the stuff that was on the bottom gets exposed to the top. And if there are any like worms or bugs that are helping the compost, then you want to move them around so that they get to all of it. But if you've got this, sort of like raised bed situation, that's really easy to access, really easy to stir. You can cover it. You don't want to cover it from the sun or anything. That'll help because the heat helps it decompose. But if you want to cover it with chicken wire or something, keep your dog out of it, you can do that. So that was one possibility. But when I started composting, I was in an apartment, and that was not going to happen. So we had a tiny yard when I was composting, and so we had something that I have now. It's called a green machine. It is not a machine. It's not even green. It's black, but it just looks like an upside down garbage can. Yeah, that's essentially what it is. So it's an upside down garbage can with the top sort of like snaps on. I can show it to you. Okay, what I'm going to do is a little bit there. I'm going to take a bit of coffee in order to get my courage up. And then we're going to go outside with an umbrella. All right, you ready for this? Hopefully my internet is connected well enough out there. I think it is. I've done this before, right? I don't know that I've ever gotten this far away from the house, but and it's not raining too much, so I don't have to worry about it too badly. All right. Okay. So, like my umbrella, it's a space umbrella. Okay, so this is a grain machine. Looks like an upside down garbage can. It essentially is the plastic lazy person's version of the raised bed that I was telling you about. So you can see it has a top sort of like a garbage can does. Ooh, I have not looked in this in months. It's not pleasant, but it opens like this. It snaps closed so you don't get any like weirdies in there. This is our ancient unmentionables compost. So this is where we put things that are going to take years to compost. And we also put like yard waste in here. So when we rake the leaves and stuff like that. Because those compost quickly, and then they cover up all that stuff so that stuff composts more quickly. Anyway, but the nice thing about this is if you are using it for your real compost, your real usable compost. So I had the. There we go. All right. It has a drawer here that I have never opened, but you can see in there. It's an interesting place. And basically what it is the bottom of your compost is naturally going to be more decomposed than the top of your compost. And so you can use the bottom of your compost for gardening purposes more quickly than you can use the top of your compost. Sorry, there's like water on the thing, so I want to wipe them off. So this little door and spot allows you access to the bottom of your compost if you want to use that to garden. I have dirt all over my hands. Shouldn't touch my perfectly clean hair. All right. For my real compost, for my next trick, I have this guy. Now this guy was, I have this guy. Now this guy was, so if you go to wirecutter.com and look up composter, You might, I don't know if you'll find this anymore because we got this 2 years ago, but they have done a lot of research, and this was suggested for people who didn't have a lot of space. There's also smaller things that were suggested for people who had even less space, but this thing is nice because it is fully contained. The compost is fully inside it, and it turns like this. So, and it's separated into two sides. So this side, here you go. This side has a timer on it, meaning we're waiting for this side to fully decompose. It needs more green in it. It's very old. And then this side has the plus sign, meaning when you put compost in this machine, put it in this side. So you can see our lovely compost in there. The eggshells still pretty prominent. What else? Everything else looks pretty dirty, pretty much like dirt. I mean, is what I meant by that. And I can say we have not emptied this in 2 years. We should have. We definitely should have, but we just haven't because, like I said, this is the remains of our garden. Where, you ask? That's a great question. Do you see those bricks? That was my attempt at making a raised bed. Yeah, my eternal shame. Beautiful. I had beautiful tomatoes. I had beautiful peppers. I had, what else did I plant? I planted wonderful things, and the squirrels thought they were wonderful too. So I didn't get them. I didn't get any of them, guys. I didn't get a single one. I didn't get to eat a single tomato of my own. All right. I'm inside now. I don't know. Juno, are you in here? I don't know. Oh, yes, she is. Okay, I found her. Hello, little lady. She's my little dog, who I have to protect from the compost. She would get into it too. But she doesn't, because it is protected. All right. So that is my compost. Nuts and bolts. If you have any questions about composting, I mean, you could ask me. I don't know where it's going to get you in life, but try. If you have doubts as to whether composting is worth it, let me tell you that especially in these quarantine times, they stopped collecting our trash as often because someone in the department got sick, and so they had to cut staff down quite a bit for a long time. And so they stopped collecting our trash multiple times a week, and that didn't affect us not even a little bit because the majority of our stuff is composted. And by we, I do mean my husband. But so this is confusing. This is our trash and recycling. This is our trash. This is trash. I know it's blue. That's my shame, but we'll just ignore that for now. So this is the trash, and this is the recycling. This fills up so much faster, in part because recycling stuff is generally bigger, right? It's like cans or bottles or boxes or anything like that. And so, of course, it takes up more space, but also because we just don't throw that much stuff away. We don't need to. We compost most of it. So that's one nice thing, is that you don't have as much trash when you don't throw out food waste, or plant waste at least. Another reason to compost is, well, I mean, there's no way around the ecological reasoning for it. I think there's been a lot of research done to suggest that we should just We might need to start burning our trash in the future because that's honestly more ecological than what we're doing right now. Because recycling isn't a real thing, unfortunately, even though I do it, but it's not real, really, especially since China stopped taking our recycling. But so there's a lot of arguments for not recycling and just storing everything underground, like literally just burying all of our garbage and refuse. And that's a different argument than composting, because composting is never, I can't imagine a way in which composting is ever bad. Like, it may be better for us to store all of our refuse underground, or burn it, or stop trying to recycle it, because it's more energy intensive to try to recycle something than it is to just bury it. But that's not true of compost. That's never true of compost. And if we all composted, I mean, best case scenario, right? We all sorted our recycling eloquently and amazingly so that it was like green and plastic and glass and paper and etc. And it was all clean. And then we could send it to the recycling centers and they would be able to do something with it. It'd be amazing. And then with our trash, we'd have less of it because we would compost. Those are sort of like the best case scenarios. Now, one of those scenarios is probably not going to happen. I really wish it would, but it would take all of us having like a huge cultural mind paradigm shift of what recycling looks like and how it works in order for that to work. But the composting, you can just start doing that yourself. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter anybody else's choices. And that's maybe not going to change the world, but it's going to change your impact on the world. And if we only did things because they would make big changes, nothing would ever happen. So it's just a little thing that you can do that honestly, I don't even know what I would do without it now. I'm sure I could just trash things, but we would need we would need more space. And this is just not that difficult. Dog's found a squirrel. This is just not that difficult. It is not a big life hassle. I have broken it down over the past 5 years such that I know the exact way to do it with the least amount of effort. And I can impart that information to you so that you don't have to spend 5 years trying to figure that out. I gotta tell you though, looking at that compost out there, the big one in the green machine, makes me concerned that maybe I should be taking care of that more. So maybe don't take that part from me. But yes, I highly endorse composting. I tell you that if you at least do the brown and green part that I do, sans the orange peel stuff, like just ignore that part, that it does break down and that you don't have to worry about it, because 2 years. That thing's been going for 2 years. I haven't emptied it. I haven't used it. So that's the easiest way to do it. And it works. And I can tell you that because that's my life. I did it. Okay, that's all you wanted to hear. Probably more than you wanted to hear. But if you don't compost, I suggest you look into it. There's lots of easy ways to do it. And even if you don't garden, which right now I don't. I wish. Do I wish though? Because that would mean going outside in Texas summer and staying outside for a long time. did that first summer. It was rough. Anyway. All right. Well, you have a good rest of your day. Make good choices. Don't do drugs. Stay in school. Tip your waitress, etc.